Atomic Blonde is an action spy thriller directed by David Leitch and starring Charlize Theron and James McAvoy. The movie is based on a graphic novel released in 2012, The Coldest City, and while I've not read it in fullest, I have checked some of the stills, I've read the synopsis, and pretty much this movie is an adaptation of that story, only that instead of being this black and white, very serious, almost Jean Le Carré style novel, it has way more neon colors and way more action badassery. And does it really work? Honestly, I don't know, because if I have to make one of those poster to movie trailer quotes from movie critics, I'd say that this is Tinker Tailor Soldier Spy meets John Wick. And it doesn't necessarily work to its fullest potential, because John Wick and Tinker Tailor are two of my favorite movies of all time. Truly, I watched Tinker Tailor in cinemas when it came out, and I loved that movie. I watched it countless times ever since. It is one of my favorite spy thrillers ever made. And so I think this movie, they just don't fit all that well together, because first of all, the actual story. The story is this generic, as I've seen it 100 times before, this list of secret agents has been taken by someone, so you have to avoid that it spread to all over the world, so you have to defend the identity. You've seen this before. This was the plot of Skyfall, it was the plot of Mission Impossible Rogue Nation, or even the first Mission Impossible. This was also the plot of a shit ton of spy movies. So the premise itself, okay, we've seen it before. It is set in 1989 in Berlin, right before the fall of the wall. And Berlin was kind of a shitty place in that period, so the cinematography and the use of very muted bluish colors works pretty well. And then once you go to the nightclubs and other different locations, there are more colors, especially neon colors in a couple of scenes that do remind me of the Red Circle of John Wick. And yes, the cinematography, the set design, the production overall is fantastic. This movie looked like $100, well, $100 million. And it works well, technically speaking. The sound design, fantastic, I truly loved it. But the problem is that the story itself, you've seen it before 1,000 times, and it is needlessly convoluted and overly long. It's almost a 2-hour movie, and it did not need to be this long. Like, there are characters that keep on appearing, newer characters even in the last minutes of the movie, and you're just like, what? Please stop movie, please focus on what you're trying to do. They're trying to blend this serious spy thriller with cheesy cartoonish action, and they don't blend well together. And also they have this use of music which, the soundtrack is one of those soundtracks that just listening to it outside of the movie it works perfectly, but inside the movie it kind of takes you out of it. And I'm really sad about it, because these are all great freaking songs from the 80s. You have the obvious 99 Luftballons from Nena, you also have Father Figure, you have a ton of cool songs, but they're implemented in awkward ways in the movie, and they kind of detract from the whole tension that is built, because you never feel actual tension for the main character of Charlize Theron. In every fight scene, she's just kicking ass. There is a bigger emphasis on melee than John Wick has. The choreography is fantastic, the cinematography is great, the stunt work, Charlize did most of her stunts, but they're just a little bit too cartoonish for the realness and grittiness of the plot. It didn't really work all that well, blending them together. As scenes on their own, they are fantastic, they truly are spectacular, but in the more serious story, they didn't fit all that well for me. With one exception, with the now famous, almost iconic already, 10-minute long unbroken take with some edits that are pretty darn obvious, but still, this continuous shot that is a 10-minute long fight scene in the hallway, then on stairwells, then inside our house, and then it becomes a car chase. It is fantastic. It is truly the sequence of the movie, the reason why you have to see it in theaters. And it also didn't really fit with the other action scenes, because the other action scenes, she's badass, she kicks ass, she never gets hurt, blah blah blah, it's cartoonish. This one is very gritty, very raw, very brutal. And you watch it and you're just so engaged in it, but you also think, wow, this is not like the rest of the movie. This is actually closer to a John Wick fight than the other ones. The other ones, she's just using her heels to stab someone in the neck, she's using a rope to do cool moves. Doesn't really fit in my opinion, but I have mixed opinions, as you can see. Overall, it is an enjoyable movie. The story itself is convoluted, a bit messy. It has great acting in it. James McAvoy is the standout, also others like Toby Jones, Fia Butella, John Goodman, they do a great job, and the Skarsgård kid as well. He's not in the movie all that much, but the cast is good, the music is good but badly implemented, the action is fantastic, has its own action sequences, but inside the movie it doesn't fit all that well except for the fantastic stairway fight. And it is enjoyable, it is a good movie, I did like it. I'd even like to rewatch it just for the action sequences, knowing what I'm going to expect. But overall it is not one of the best movies of the year in my opinion. It is good, but it is not great, and it could have been, it really could have been. So I went into this movie, I expected to just love it. I was a bit disappointed, but I think that as time goes on, I will enjoy it more and more and accept it for what it actually is. A spy thriller with some cool ass action sequences that are straight out of a cartoon. But still guys, have you watched Atomic Blonde? Do you agree or disagree with me? Tell me in the comments below. Thanks guys for watching, to like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video.